Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tidus Talk, episode 31, featuring special guest IndieTaco. How you doing, Indy?
I'm doing well. Lucky 31.
Lucky
You know how
31.
it is.
For those who are joining us for the first time, this is a podcast I started where I get to know other content creators better, and we all do actually. We find one who wants to join us. We talk about their journey on Twitch or YouTube or wherever they do their content. And talk about gaming and then just things in general. Get to know them better. Uh, so I like to start with how I got to know you, which I want to say it was through John Blah. I could be wrong there, but I want to say that was my first introduction to you. It was either that or totally a fan.
No, it was John.
It was John.
Yeah,
Okay, so and I don't
good
know if it
memory.
was just in his chat or if it was a raid into his channel or raid into mine. I don't remember specifically, but we've been in and out of each other's channels, lurking and participating, and always have a good time. You have a nice array of games that you play. It used to be like all Borderlands, right?
Yeah, I was waiting for that game to come out for like 7 years, and it really threw a wrench into what I wanted my brand to be.
The whole indie stuff is like, no, I'm going to play this mainstream game for like a year. Uh, but yeah, and I really enjoy, like I said, watching, especially now that you're back to the indie stuff. It's playing games I never played back in the day, like Odin Sphere and things like that. Games I wish I would have played, and still have the chance to be honest, is pretty cool. So for anybody who doesn't know who we are, why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
A little bit about me. Like I don't know where to even start. Like from the beginning, I was born in Mexico.
You don't have to go that
Um,
far back if you don't want. You can be whatever you want.
I can go back that far.
Okay.
So I was born in Mexico. I'm a Mexican national. I came over to the United States when I was 3 with my family. We were illegal, and I didn't know that at the time. And then again, I was just 3. And then we moved to San Diego, and then under Reagan, he did an amnesty thing, so we were able to get permanent residence. And so we lived in San Diego until I was in middle school, and then we moved to Spring Valley. But then my dad got hurt on the job, so we sold that house. We moved to Tucson, Arizona, and I just stayed in Tucson, Arizona until I graduated, joined the army, got stationed in Hawaii, which was pretty fun. After the army, I came back to Tucson, Arizona. Did a lot of jobs like working at Blockbuster Video call centers while I went to college. Best Buy. Got my degree in elementary education. I was a first grade teacher for a little bit, elementary school teacher for a little bit. I needed some extra money, so I got into behavioral health as a side job. And then I stopped being a teacher after a couple of things happened. Um, and then I went into mortgages, and quality assurance for Citibank. And then my job was sent to India. Interesting story about that. I stayed into behavioral health until just now, where I got offered a position as quality assurance again. So I should be starting that, God willing, on the 20th.
Wow, that's quite the journey. A lot of stuff I didn't know about you. I'm actually from the San Diego area myself, uh,
Nice.
and worked at Blockbuster in college too. too.
One of the best jobs I ever had. I loved working there.
I enjoyed my time there. The only thing that made my that the worst thing was actually for me. The best thing was partly the customers, but the worst thing was also the customers, the ones that
Yeah.
you have them. You said you worked at a call center though, right?
Yeah.
I worked in a store, so when you get the people like slitting down the sides of a DVD case so that they can take out the disc when they're locked and everything, those people, kind of left a sour taste in my mouth. But there was a lot of great people too, so I can't complain.
What the call center wasn't for Blockbuster, it was for a couple of other things.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, I remember opening up DVD cases, and there was like soup in
Oh,
them.
what? I never.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
there was like elbow pasta on the DVDs, and we're like awesome. Or they just came in wet, and it wasn't like water; it was like sweat. Um,
Okay, I never
I
had it
remember.
that bad.
Let me see. There was this one time where a whole family wanted to fight me because what they would used to do at my store is once a new movie released, people would come in. We never had enough, so they're like, "Hey, if this comes in, just hold it for me, okay?" And we would be like, "Sure." Well, this family wanted this movie, so it came in. I looked around, I didn't see them, so I give it to the next person. And then as soon as I gave it to the next person, that family was like, "Hey, we asked for that." I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you guys. I'll get you the next one." And they just weren't having it. And they were telling me, "Let's go outside to fight and stuff." I'm like, "I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do
Wow.
that at all." Yeah, I have a lot of interesting stories like that.
I thought, wow. I mean, I have a few, but nothing like that. You win, sir. All right, before we move on, I'll take this opportunity to let the viewers who are watching live on Twitch, this is being recorded live on Twitch, if you are interested in a gift sub to Indy's channel, it's a thank you for him joining me and taking the time today. Do exclamation point raffle in the chat. It'll be going all through the podcast and it'll end afterwards. So there is that. And then with that, we will get started. So, how long have you been gaming? Is it a lifelong thing or is it more of a recent pickup?
It's been a lifelong thing. I remember the first time I played video games was at my cousin's house when I had to have been 4. I don't remember being in school at the time, and he had an Atari, and I just love playing those games. And I asked my dad for an Atari, well, for Christmas one year. Um, and so it's Christmas, and I'm there with my brother, and we open it up, and it's a Nintendo. And I remember being so disappointed that it wasn't an Atari because no one knew what a Nintendo was at that time. Um,
Little did you know.
Little did I know it was the best gaming system of my generation. But we ended up playing it. We played some Super Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt. We had the combo, and I've been gaming ever since.
Very cool. What are some of your favorite games and what genres of games do you enjoy?
Oh boy, so many. Um, anything from Capcom during the NES. They had the best graphics. Everything looked cute, especially like their Disney titles
Oh,
were
yeah.
amazing. Um, I think one of the pinnacle games of the NES was Little Nemo the Dream Master, still my favorite game. It just looks amazing for the hardware. Um, I play a lot of I used to play a lot of those games, Mega Man, and then I started playing JRPGs once Final Fantasy 3 came out on the SNES. My friend in middle
Oh,
school lent it to me.
such a great game.
Yeah, I got hooked on JRPGs after that, which to me at that time was just RPGs,
Right.
because everything came out of Japan at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I play Final Fantasies a lot. I'm actually playing through all the Pixel remasters.
Oh, that's right, on Steam, right?
Yeah, on Steam. I just beat the first one, and that was really really fun, especially with the quality of life changes. I fell in love once I was in the military. I bought a PlayStation, and I picked up Silent Hill. Love the franchise ever since, even the bad ones. Metal Gear Solid, which I collected up until um, 5, the Phantom Pain. I think I still have it. I just never played it. Um, a lot of indie games now, but yeah, those are the kind of games that I tend to play. Vanillaware games only because I love the art style.
Oh,
They've
yeah.
never they've never produced a bad game.
Yeah, I used to see a lot of those come through in the Blockbuster days. Like Odin Sphere on PS2. It originated on PS2, right?
Yeah, came out on PS2.
What are some of your fondest gaming memories?
Funny thing, there's a couple. I remember once I was playing Mega Man 2 on my NES,
Okay.
and it was my birthday. I didn't even like remember it was my birthday. I was just playing, and my dad comes in and he brings me my gift, which was a box turtle. So that is probably my number one gaming memory, just because at that time I've never owned a turtle before. So that I remember that day specifically. Um, I also, hi Hyrule,
Yeah,
welcome,
feel
welcome.
free to interact with the chat.
Um, I the other gaming memories that I have are Silent Hill related, because I always say this: Silent Hill 1 I could play by myself at night, no problem. Well, I mean, I was a little, it was a little stressful, but I'm okay. Silent Hill 2 I could play during the day alone, at night if someone was there. Silent Hill 3 I could not play at night. It had to be during the day. And Silent Hill 4, which a lot of people say isn't that scary or it's the worst one, I disagree. I could only play that game during the day when people were around. No joke. So if you're like, oh, IndieTaco sucks, he had to have people during the day to play Silent Hill 4. Hey, it's fine with me because that game scared me. I think it might have been the last game that actually scared me.
It's funny. I've played through most, if not all, of the Resident Evil games, but I've never played through a Silent Hill game.
If you ever get the chance, the big recommendation is 2. It's regarded as the best one. It's not my personal favorite, but I can see why people say it's the best one.
Gotcha. Yeah, I hope they come out. Actually, I kind of hope they do what they did with Resident Evil and do like a remake, like a modern remake of like the series and see how it works.
Yeah, I've been hoping for a new Silent Hill probably longer than I've been hoping for a new Borderlands.
But that's in Konami's
But
hand, isn't it?
yep, and there's a whole lot of interesting things going on
Yeah.
with Silent Hill rumors, but we can wait on that, I guess.
All right. What are some upcoming games you're looking forward to the most?
Actually, that's a good question. I have a list of games that I have that says indie games I'm looking forward to playing. Afterlife, which is an indie game where like you go to hell and you have to like beat the devil in a drinking contest or some kind. It's already out. I just haven't played it.
Okay, I know the one
East
you're talking about. That looks hilarious.
Eastward is coming out this month. It's beautiful pixel art. I don't know anything about it other than it's beautiful pixel art.
Okay.
A tier, Flynn, Son of Crimson, Garden Story. What I'm really, really looking forward to is Little Witch in the Woods because of that pixel art.
Mm-hmm.
The Last Campfire, The Last Night, Minico's Night Market, Resort, Snacko, Sushi Wildlands, and Young Souls.
All right, so you got a bunch you're looking forward to. A lot of the times people come on here and they can't think of anything, or there's only one or two big titles, and not everybody really thinks about the smaller titles. So it's interesting to see the opposite of that, where he's like, "I've got this huge list because there's so many indie games coming out."
Oh yeah, I have and it keeps growing too. My Steam wish list is like it's probably like 300 games there.
Oh yeah, you go into the indie territory. I mean, I could stop buying games now, and I'd be set for life with as many games I own and never touched.
Same, same.
What are you currently playing, both on and off stream?
Um, so on stream, I'm currently playing Odin Sphere. I'm almost done with that game. And then it's either going to be a horror game or Final Fantasy 2, the Pixel remaster. I'm trying to cycle through so I don't get burnt out with just one type of game.
Right.
Um, so that is what I'm playing now, Odin Sphere. So the next couple of games that are on the list is Final Fantasy 2, um, a horror game, which can be at any given time. I have no clue what it's going to be. And then after Odin Sphere, I will probably play from Vanillaware. I'll probably play Muramasa the Demon Blade, which is gorgeous. As far as playing offline, I always throw a Borderlands game for maybe like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Sometimes I play a lot of Borderlands 3 just because I like making builds and cosmetic builds. And with new items and things coming out all the time, I'm always trying to increase the effectiveness of my builds.
So, what's your favorite Borderlands?
My favorite Borderlands is Borderlands 1. It was my first Borderlands. I'm big on nostalgia, I guess. But I really do feel like Borderlands 1 had the best feeling guns of the whole series. Um, Silent Hill 2, definitely, and this is highly regarded. Borderlands 2 has the best story, hands down. I personally believe the pre-sequel has the best mechanics and skill trees. Um, and because Borderlands 3 actually took a lot from the pre-sequel, more so than Borderlands 2, if you ask me. And Borderlands 3 has a terrible story, a lot of poor decisions made by Gearbox. But the quality of life changes makes it a lot easier to play, a lot more satisfying.
Gotcha. All right. So going into Twitch, how did you go about choosing your Twitch name?
Um, the big thing was that I used to watch a YouTuber called Indie Mouse, but he spelled it completely different. And I was like, okay, that indie something kind of sounds cool. That was part of it. Um, but then I was also, I wanted to start my Twitch, my Twitch kind of like, I don't want to say brand because I really don't like that word, like brand,
Right.
but just what I was gonna focus my channel on. And I was like, well, I do like, indie games. I really, Bastion like just blew my mind. So I was like, I definitely could go with indie games. And I think that was really the big thing, was indie games and indie mouse. And then with Taco, I kind of circled around a couple of things because the reason I got onto Twitch was, well, the thing that pushed me over to start a Twitch channel was the emotes. I wanted to have my own emotes that I could share with people. If I could give my emotes for free, I would. So I knew it had to be something that could be appealing to the eye. I kind of had this idea that I kind of wanted to have it family friendly too. So something cute. I'm Mexican, so I kind of wanted to kind of do something with that. Not that I think race is a big thing, but just as a kind of like a fun thing.
Right.
My first idea was a sombrero, but then I feel like that might not flow well. People might mispronounce it. People might not know what it means. It's like, everyone knows what a taco is. So I was like, okay, indie games and tacos. I feel that I can build something off of it. Um, that's the story. That's how I came up with my name.
So do you make your own emotes then?
I do not. I am not that good of an artist. My artist, her name is Sulyan. I follow her on Twitter. If you guys go into who I'm following, she is amazing. She has done all of my overlays, my banners, my emotes. If I ever make partner, which is not a goal, I have taco themed cheer emotes. Um, she made my animations. So if you ever go onto my channel, you'll see a little animated taco either eating Doritos or an animation of my taco playing with a controller, or a Jason Voorhees taco, or a reindeer taco. She made all of those animations. I couldn't be happier with her.
Yeah, they're very nice. So that's very cool. Uh, so what drew you to streaming, and what do you like best about it?
Originally, what drew me to streaming is I think it. I was trying to find. I was kind of tired of YouTube reviews, and I kind of just wanted to see how a game played, or how it actually was in real time. I don't even remember what the game was, and so I got on Twitch, and I just started looking, and then I kind of just jumped into the rabbit hole. Started looking at Dark Souls, started looking at these things and those things, started meeting people, and that's when I saw the people's emotes, and I was like, "That's cool. I wish I had my own." But honestly, at the beginning, I was like, a lot of other people were like, "Streaming? That's kind of lame. Who's you making money off of it? People are paying you, or people are watching you play. That sounds boring." But once I took the plunge, I was like, "Oh, now I understand what it's about."
Right. People judge until they experience it for themselves. So is there anything you dislike about the streaming?
Having to put in effort when you don't want to. Um, that's one of the big things. Like if I'm playing a game that's taking a lot of my focus, but work just worked me 14 hours a day for, 14 days straight, and I'm like, I can't, right? Or I have to skip streams because of work, which
Right.
I had to do quite a bit when I was a teacher and I was in behavioral health. And so, you get you're building a community. You get 5 people, 7 people, and then you're gone for 2 months because of work. You come back and they've moved on to other streamers, and you got to keep. And I've had to like restart multiple times. So I've gone up to like 17 viewers, back down to 0, over and over and over again. And I think this time it's actually taking a lot longer to get to that view count than before.
Yeah. That's I wonder. I mean, it could be right now, especially with people, getting back out into the world, less time in front of a screen is part of it, at least.
Oh yeah, and also I'm not using cam anymore. But when I was streaming Dead by Daylight with cam, is when I had my most viewers.
Oh, I didn't know you ever did cam, honestly.
Yeah, I used to do cam when I played Dead by Daylight, and that's I was having a lot of fun with Dead by Daylight. And really, the cam really helps. It really does. Um,
Yeah,
but I
I'd
got
say for the games like that, for sure, you get to see reactions to a lot
Yeah,
of the stuff that happens.
but my wife allowed me to keep on streaming as long as I didn't show my face. She gets a little jealous. She thinks some hot tub streamer or something is gonna steal me away or something. I don't know.
Oh,
But she's super cute. I'm like, and a lot of people will say something like, "Well, that's controlling," or she shouldn't be that way. But I know who I married. I love her the way she is. If it gives her peace of mind, I don't need a cam.
right.
You know, so if it makes her happy, it's not a big deal to me.
That's a good take. Uh, how long have you been streaming? I'm actually curious about this one.
Oh my goodness, I have no clue.
Yeah.
And let me see. I was a teacher back in 2011. So around 2011 is when I started, and then had to quit, and then restarted, and then had to quit again, and over again.
Wow, I didn't know. So your first stream was a decade ago?
Probably around that time, I
Wow.
think. I think I was streaming when I was a teacher.
You've been in IndieTaco the whole time?
I think so. Yeah. Well, yeah. I've been in Itaco the whole time, so you can really just. Well, my anniversary. I know my affiliate anniversary. It was the day after Borderlands 3 released, but when I started, I don't know.
No, that surprised me because I had no idea how long it had been. But it also makes sense because, like you said, on and off for the last decade. Uh, what are who are some of your favorite streamers to watch?
Um, Whoever I have on my recommended, I'm very, very, very stingy with my follows, very, very stingy with who I promote. Not because I'm that guy, but because to me it's like a relationship. It
Hmm.
could just be like a one-sided relationship, but it's like I have to believe in them. I have to enjoy them. So when I raid, I don't tell people, "Hey, give them a follow," because I know usually I don't give out follows. I just say, give them 20 minutes of your time, give them that opportunity to show you what they have to offer, and then make a decision. But because sometimes giving them that, you know, 20 minutes is more important than giving them that follow because sometimes people follow and then they just never come back.
Right. No, that's
Um,
honestly the best way I think to go about it.
Let me see. I really like Ouija Boo and Messy Nessie. They're really, really sweet, really, really nice, really, really chipper. I always enjoy being in their streams. It's just really warming. Cuppa Noodle has to be my favorite streamer of all time. I love being in her chat. But the way I do things, and one cool thing about Cuppa Noodle is she can have like 300, 500 people in her chat, and she will still talk to people in her chat. And I struggle with like 5 people.
I was gonna say that's a skill right there.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's super funny. we're around the same age, so a lot of the things that she says I kind of relate to too. Um, Super charismatic, super fun. Um, Great people in her chat too. Cup of coffee. I love being in his stream. He's the nice British guy who can joke around. He's awesome. Likes to play a lot of shooters. Darkest Dame is one of the few Borderlands 3 streamers I still watch because her community is amazing. She's really, really fun. Very, very nice. And she really, really supported me right after I got affiliate. So she's cool. If you go in, if you're looking for a Borderlands 3 streamer, she's really, really fun. Um, this person stopped streaming, and this is one's interesting because this is a Japanese VTuber.
Okay.
And her name is Mimi Nagasaki. And she stopped streaming a couple of months ago. But I went in. I was in a stream with a Japanese VTuber who had Spanish, English, um, Japanese subtitles, so I could kind of figure out what she was saying. And she had programs that would translate her chat into Japanese, so she could interact with the chat even though it was in Spanish or English. And so she rated Mimi, and I just really, I liked the games that she was playing. I liked her voice, and I would like use Google Translate to talk to her. But then again, I didn't know what she was saying back. And I think she appreciated it because then she started using English subtitles in her stream so I could understand what she was saying, which was really sweet of her.
That's awesome.
And most recently, Electron B was another streamer that I started following. And she was playing Persona Royale. She plays Don't Starve Together with her cousin. And she's really, really fun. And I think she's gonna go a long way as well.
Very cool. Yeah, a bunch of people I haven't heard of. I'll definitely try to check out, and a couple of cups in there. So I don't.
And that's of course, present company included. Obviously John Blah. I have lots of people that I try to make their streams, but I'm only one person, and I tend to go for the people who have the least amount of viewers at the time.
Yeah,
because
I'm the same way.
It's whoever, because I know streaming to 0 people, how that feels like. If you just have one person talking to you, makes all the difference.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I have plenty of people. Critical C, I'm sorry. Lupin FGC, Solara 80, Crypto. I'm gonna go by because I don't want to leave anyone out. Less than okay gamer. My real life friends: El Desperado, Spike G Gaming, Kamashli, and then back to people I watch: Larry Asra, Killer Sales Guy, Bachelor Cole, and Jesse J Girl are I'm really tight with. I feel like because we have a lot of the same worldviews, and so we have a lot of the same opinions. Starling, I just started following. She's really, really cool. Rapid Factor, Real Siege OC. I'm sorry if it's taking too long, but this is Giga Dank, Old Gnome King, and Xianzhou, who does a lot of has made a lot of videos that really helped me out with Dragon's Crown. Okay, that's everyone.
I was gonna say, where's the Oscars wrap-up music? What are some goals or aspirations you have for the channel, if any?
My goal for the channel, it's really a hobby for me, and I feel like that's why I can speak my mind, because I'm not trying to make it a career.
Right.
So because I'm not trying to make it a career, I can say this game sucks, and then make everyone in the Borderlands community mad at me, So, but if I'm trying to build relationships with studios and devs, I can't. Well, I can, but it's counterproductive to be that way. So my personal goal is just to have a handful of regulars, really, and just to be able to stick to a schedule.
It's pretty sound, I'd say. Uh, what is some advice you'd give to newer streamers looking to grow their channel?
Um, do it organically. Um, if you're a gun ho kind of person, you're in for that success. You're watching, this is how you maximize your views. Then I'm not the person to ask. Obviously, I'm not that kind of person. Those aren't my goals. There's plenty of other people who can give you better advice. But I found that growing organically makes you happier because you get to learn. You get to learn from your mistakes. You get to find your own identity as well. Um, have fun with it. I jumped in, and when I made my channel, when I found my artist, I dumped like I don't know when I say like 1K, 2K
Whew.
in emotes and um, banners and everything, and it was cool. It got me to affiliate, but was it necessary? No, because I was getting more views just with the cam. So just do you, have fun, play the games you want to play, unless you want to grow, and then there's other formulas you can follow if you're in a rush. But I think really, unless you're really in it for the money, just do you.
All right, and what are some interests and hobbies you have outside of gaming?
Um, Before COVID, um, I was I loved lifting weights, swimming. So that was those were my big ones. I used to write. I have a lot of cool stories that maybe at this point in my life, my skill in writing isn't at the spot where it needs to be to write novels. But I really like my story idea, so I don't know. One day I might pay a ghostwriter to write those ideas, those books. Who knows? Um, but other than that, I don't really have a lot of hobbies anymore, just because I worked so much.
Mm.
It wasn't rare for me to pull 12, 14-hour days,
Oof.
or work a whole week or sometimes 2 weeks in a row. So my hobbies have dwindled. But when I did have time, I used to watch a lot of movies, go to the movies, go to restaurants, though, and working out tended to be my hobbies.
Very cool. I did so earlier. This is more of the custom questions of the stuff I could try to think of. You said YouTube reviews. Did you used to do like game reviews on YouTube?
Um, no, when I said I was getting tired of just reviews, it just meant that because other people were reviewing games and it was very produced, and they didn't really show you a lot of the gameplay. And at that point in time, I wanted to see more gameplay.
Right. Gameplay is key.
But I did have a kind of like a mini review thing going where I would like quickly review indie games on my Twitter. But I think I stopped doing that since I started playing Borderlands 3.
Okay, so you would technically be considered a VTuber, right?
No.
No, I don't know what the difference is between.
A VTuber has like an avatar or a picture that gets animated by their expressions in real time.
Okay,
I just have a little animation that plays like my mascot.
okay, I didn't know if your mascot did kind of like the same type deal. So, okay then. It's stuff I never really looked up. I just assumed VTuber was anybody who had like again because yours has motion. I think it confused me. I've seen people who
Yeah,
have static images, but not necessarily motion images. So I thought there was a crossover there. But now I'm a little bit more educated. So thanks. Uh,
anytime.
I've got your list, or at least I got a list of indie game recommendations you had on your Twitch channel. But we'll go over that in the main category, or
Okay.
in the topic. So we'll move on from introduction and move on to. So you wanted to talk about indie recommendations.
Yes, it was either that or Borderlands 3, and I think I'm not up to that. I don't want to get salty.
Okay.
So, um, yes. So Borderlands. No, not Borderlands.
Not
Indie
Borderlands.
games. Out of Overland. Okay. So the game, my number one game on my recommended list is Bastion. I remember watching the trailer to this game and loving it instantly. I love the narrator, I love the art style, I love the music, I like the concept. So that was the game that really got me into indie games. So once I got Bastion under my belt, I started looking for more, and I started enjoying more and looking forward to more, and that's what made me kind of put the idea that, you know what, I could be an indie game streamer. So that one's an action role-playing game. It's almost like a top view,
Right.
but it's gorgeous. The story is great, very heartfelt. There's some RPG elements to it. It's if I could only recommend one indie game to a person to try, it would be Bastion.
I do need to
Even
play it
after-
at some point. Because I own it, and I've seen it. I've even played like the first half hour of it or so, and I never found time to go and playing it. So at some point in time, I need to get back to it. Didn't they have like almost like a spiritual successor?
They have had games, but they weren't really similar. Forget their name. Supergiant Games, I believe.
Yeah, I think there was one afterwards. They didn't have the narrating part or anything, but there was the same over the top kind of section to section view, and I can't remember.
I know there was Transistor, but it's not really the same game.
Okay, that's what I was thinking of Transistor, but I didn't. I have less knowledge on Transistor than I do Bastion. All right, so number one would be Bastion. So what other indie game recommendations you got for us?
If you're looking for a Nintendo hard or Nintendo difficult, which is an old term, that's back when games were like 3 megabytes, 8-bit. They weren't super long, so they had to make it super difficult for the people to get their money's worth
Right.
and playtime in. That's Cuphead in a nutshell. It's hand drawn in 50s style animation, 40 style animation.
Beautiful game.
Beautiful, very very difficult. I've never beat it because
Oh.
I just never put the time into it to beat it. I was busy at the time, and that's a recurring theme with me. Is like I started it but work. I still recommend it if you want to like bash your head against a wall because of how difficult it is. Like Dark Souls, play it. It's a beautiful game. Play with someone else. Hate them forever. I highly recommend it. It's a run and gun game. It's like a platformer shooter, really.
It's
And
actually
Bastion is an action role-playing top-down, I guess.
one of the few games on your list that I've beaten. I've beaten Cuphead.
You beaten Cuphead?
I did it on stream a couple of years ago.
You must be a maniac, because it's going to take a lot of hours for me to be able to beat that game. I need to get good at that game. That game is harder than Dark Souls.
I'd have to go back and look. Really harder than Dark Souls? You think?
I would say it's harder than Dark Souls.
I mean, maybe it's just
Absolutely.
because I've always been pretty decent at platformers. Like, so I mean, I think that helped there. And games like Rayman Legends and Origins and stuff that came out, I think were also very old school, kind of like with the new twist platforming, and it's just something I've always had a knack for. But yeah, it took me, I think, 3 or 4 streams, or 3 to 5 streams to beat, and I had a death counter because I knew I was going to die a lot. I don't remember what my final number was, but it was up there. But it was a
great.
good time. Like you said, it's beautiful, it's very fun, but it's not for the faint of heart. So,
For sure.
all right, what else you got for us?
Darkest Dungeon, which is a roguelike turn-based RPG. But really, it's a dungeon crawler. It's dark. The story in this game is dark. Your people die. They go insane. It has a lot of Lovecraftian elements to it. It's basically a Lovecraft game without being Lovecraft. It's hand-drawn. The game is super fun, super addicting. And it's also very, very, very difficult. If you make the wrong move, if you make the wrong choice at the wrong time, it will set you back hours, if not days, of gameplay.
Whew.
Yeah, it's rough, but the game is just so good, so fun that you just keep playing it. It's difficult in a different way than Cuphead is for sure.
All right, next I'm looking at Dead Cells.
Dead Cells is like it's a roguelike Metroidvania, but to me it's is it roguelike because you can keep dying and dying and coming back with no problem other than you lose your weapon, I think. Now, Dead Cells I only played the early access before release, and but I still loved it. The pixel art was amazing. Um I didn't mind, and this is a big kudos to the game. I didn't mind the Metroidvania aspect of the game, and I do not like Metroidvanias
Really?
because I absolutely hate backtracking. 100% hate it, detest it. But Dead Cells made it so I didn't mind at all.
I was gonna say that actually surprises me you say that with another game I see further down the list.
Oh yeah,
So
there's a couple, and so this should tell you how amazing I feel these games are.
yeah,
If I have them on my recommended list, but I know a lot of people do like Metroidvanias in the indie game community. So Dead Cells, if you haven't bought it or played it, give it a shot. It's really 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 fun. Um,
I've heard good things for sure. I'm seeing Juicy Realm. I've never heard of that.
I don't think a lot of people have. It's a roguelike, or so they say. It's I guess it's a roguelike. It is. But it's kind of like a dungeon crawler, but unlike Darkest Dungeon, you can beat it in maybe 2 hours. Keep playing through it. Um, it's fun. It's the art style is very bright and fun, and you're fighting sentient fruit that are trying to take over the world. It's if you want a roguelike that doesn't feel like a roguelite, or you want a dungeon crawler that doesn't feel like a dungeon crawler, play Juicy Realm. It's super wholesome for for what it is.
Is that Steam?
It is on Steam.
All right, Knights and Bikes.
That's a co-op action adventure. It's a kind of coming of age story, but the visuals are like a storybook, like an animated storybook, in a good way. I know it depends on how you picture it, but in a very good way. Watch the trailer if you don't know what it is. Um, the main character makes a friend who's kind of like a stowaway. Her trailer park, I guess, is gonna get destroyed if they don't come up with money. It's kind of like very Goonie-ish
Mm.
in that sense. But I really really liked it. It was a super heartfelt story. It may not be everyone's cup of tea, but it is. I don't want to say unique now, but when it came out, it felt very unique, and it gives you something different to try. If you're into co-op or action adventure games, give it a try. If you're looking for something like that in the indie type of game.
Very cool. Little Nightmares.
Little Nightmares. So here's the thing about Little Nightmares. There's a couple of things I want to say about Little Nightmares. One, I've played a lot of horror games. The best I can hope for when I play a horror game now is being creeped out and being stressed out. As far as the closest to fear that I get. Little Nightmares gave me both. I don't feel it's scary, but it's definitely stressful. And the atmosphere is definitely creepy. It is a puzzle platformer / horror game. The thing is, though, you can beat this game in 2 to 4 hours depending on your skill. And the game is $20. So
there's sequels either out or coming out soon, right?
yeah, it has one sequel coming out, and I think the developer said they're not going to make any more. But I think the publisher said we don't need the studio to make more, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah, that's not a good thing to say.
right. So I have to say it is worth the money to the penny, to the penny. If it was $20.01, it would not be worth it at that price. So I would say, if you're into horror games, puzzle platformers, and you're willing to shell out the money, pick it up. It is one of the best games I've ever played in the indie community.
How does it compare to Limbo? Because it kind of reminds me of Limbo with what I've seen. I haven't played it.
I have Limbo. I haven't played it.
Okay. By the way you're
But
describing it, I think you would enjoy Limbo then.
yeah, I own it. I want to play it, but it's in the backlog, unfortunately. um, but I'm pretty sure I will enjoy it when I do end up playing
Yeah,
it.
and it's another short one. You can get it done I think you can get it done in under an hour.
Oh wow. Then I definitely should play it then. And that's the thing that kind of kept me from playing Little Nightmares when it first came out, even though I owned it. Is like I don't have 16 hours to put into this game, and then I play it. I'm like, oh, that was it?
Right.
Okay. Wait for it on sale if you're on the fence. I don't think you'll regret picking it up as far as gameplay. It might just be like a cost to fun ratio for you, or time ratio.
Gotcha. Night in the Woods.
Night in the Woods was the first indie game I actually streamed. So Bastion was the game that got me into indie games. Night in the Woods was actually the first indie game I actually streamed. It's a single player adventure game. I don't want to ruin it for you, but it's humanoid animals. The main character comes back from college after having like a nervous breakdown. It has to do a lot with mental health. Feeling stuck in a small town. There's a murder mystery going on. People are dying. Some controversy with Night in the Woods. I say this not because I personally care, but I know people care about that kind of stuff sometimes. There were some allegations made towards one of the developers that you can read about. He ended up taking his own life.
Nope.
Yeah, and the studio who developed it distanced themselves from him. He was dealing with mental health issues. But the game, depending on again on your stance on all of that stuff, read up on it if it's something that is important to you, and then make a decision. But as far as the game goes, it's one of my favorite games. It wouldn't be on my recommended list if I didn't love it, and I definitely love that game.
All right. Now, the game I was referring to earlier when you were talking about Metroidvania, Ori and the Blind Forest.
Ori and the Blind Forest, the only bad thing I can say about it is that it's a Metroidvania and I had to backtrack. If you don't mind that stuff, or even if you do mind that stuff like me, Ori and the Blind Forest is a freaking masterpiece.
It is.
I think you would agree.
Oh, yeah.
Heartfelt story, awesome visuals, fun gameplay. If I had to pick between Dead Cells and Ori and the Blind Forest, if you like more visually appealing, cutesy stuff, go with Ori. If you want a more heartfelt story, go with Ori. If you want more fast-paced gaming, go with Dead Cells. For me, if I had to pick between one or the other, which one is the better game? Ori and the Blind Forest, hands down. Yeah, I love that game. I really, really do. I haven't played the sequel. I feel like I need to pick it up whenever I have time. But yeah, I love Ori and the Blind Forest.
Yeah, Ori surprised me. Like I knew it was like I'd heard it was good, but it surprised me with both the story and how amped up the platforming got. Like the way it looks, you'd think it'd be like you said, a little cutesy, jumping around and stuff like that. But no. There's time factors. There's multiple platforming abilities that you have to train together. But really well done, and the sequel was excellent as well.
I have to play the sequel. I take your word for it that it's good. I trust your opinion on things.
Yeah.
I think we have pretty similar opinions when it comes to the types of games that we play when we do play the same types of games. So yes, 100%. I will be picking that up. When I'll be able to play it, who knows?
The only thing spoilers for the sequel, and it's not really spoilers, is that the only thing I don't understand is how you lose abilities between the first game and the second game. It's a gaming thing, and I understand it, but it's still kind of like, how did he lose his ability to do this between games? All right, you got Overland.
Overland. I bought this from. I saw this. I don't say reviewed, but I saw the trailer on YouTube, and I was like, "This is interesting." Something you guys have to understand about me: I don't like Metroidvanias. but I'm not interested in strategy or real-time strategy. I'm just not. It's just not my thing. The only games that I probably care less about than strategy games is sports games and racing games.
Okay, yeah, we are a lot on the same page of this kind of stuff.
But Overland is really interesting. The maps are tiny. You only have a certain number of moves. You have to avoid or attack enemies. You have to get supplies, and rescue people if they want to be rescued, or beat the people to the supplies if they're looking for supplies, and get out of there. You spend too long in one place, you're going to die or get hurt, and then die in the next map. If you are not into strategy games, or you want a simple strategy game, I think Overland is a very good place to start in that journey. If you're kind of bored with, Metroidvanias or action platformers or shooters, you're like, I want to try something new, like completely new, and you haven't tried strategy games, Overland is a good way to dip in your toes.
That's a nice recommendation. I'll have to look into it for sure. Tooth and Tail.
So, like I said before, RTSs or strategy, not my thing. But I'm always looking to find the game that's going to make me fall in love with that genre. I'm still looking for a farming simulator that I'm actually going to like, because I have no interest in them whatsoever. So with Tooth and Tail, it's pixel art. You're playing as mice people, but they're mice, but they act like humans.
Okay.
You get units that are other animals. There's 4 factions. The story is pretty cool, and how the war between all the factions started. They're all meat eaters, and they look down on people, on other animals that eat plants. And it's interesting because they will cannibalize each other.
Oh.
And that's more dignified than eating plants to them. It's really obviously it's social commentary.
Right.
As far as real-time strategy, I'm specifically told that it's actually pretty simple. And so if you're trying to dip your feet into real-time strategy, I guess this is a good place to start. Obviously the later levels get really, really difficult, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but at the end something really, really, really interesting happens that I'm not going to spoil. But it's a pretty game. It's nice pixel art, and the story is dark and fun.
All right, Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap.
So the reason I put Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap here, is because it is a fun game, but there's this new thing that developers are starting to do now, where they'll take a game from the NES or Sega Genesis, and then update the graphics to hand-drawn graphics, and then it's exactly the same game except with updated visuals.
Okay.
So, this is Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap does this. It was Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap was actually an old game. I forget if it was NES or Sega Genesis, and that's just all they did was update the graphics to make it look prettier, and it looks pretty. There's Monster Boy is another one. Alex Kidd is one that just came out. It's exactly the same thing. You can play in either the old graphics or the new graphics. So if anyone out there didn't grow up with the NES or the Sega Genesis, and you're like, I kind of want to try retro games, but they look ugly, try it out. That is definitely Nintendo hard. But with a new coat of paint, so you don't feel like you're looking at something that some people might consider ugly while you're playing.
Cool. And I ran across this one the other day, actually, and it kind of reminded me of almost like a cheap cash-in, but if it's on your list, I'm going to say it's not. Yoku's Island Express.
So this I put on the list because not only because it's fun and the story's nice and chill, it has some really nice island beats. It does something I've never seen in another game thus far, and it's a platforming pinball Metroidvania.
Not words I expect to be together.
Right? And so the gaming is unique because of that. This game, I did not mind backtracking. Just like Dead Cells, I did not mind backtracking with Yoku's Island Adventure because you're just rolling around in like a pinball machine. So when you're backtracking, you're still having fun.
Right.
Basically, you're the main character. You're the new postmaster on this little island, and you gotta deliver mail. But there's a lot of other uh, evil things going on that you kind of have to stop. I won't ruin it, but the beginning of the story is you're this little bug, you're this little ladybug kind of guy, little beetle, and you're taking over as the postmaster for this island. And it's just a really nice, fun, relaxing game with island beats that doesn't take itself too seriously. It's very, very wholesome.
Okay. Very cool. Well, I look forward to that list growing. That was the end of the list as it was on Twitch. Do you have any more?
There's plenty more, but I think that's pretty good. I think that gives any viewer that's looking into jumping into indie games a good list to kind of pick and choose what they might want to try.
Yeah, and it's nice talking about it because indie games, I think they get a decent amount of attention, but I don't think they're played as much as they should, or at least tried. A lot of people don't try them, and so talking about them, I think, is a good way of getting it out there.
I agree. And before I started playing Borderlands and tanking my brand on Twitter because I get super opinionated on Twitter, I was giving shout outs to indie developers. They were following me. I had a very, very good relationship with a lot of people. But again, you move away from it. You play a AAA title for 2 years straight. That's gonna suffer.
Right.
And then of course you say some things that may not be the most popular things. That it's gonna make you're gonna suffer for that too. But I don't regret what I say.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, getting the attention of people because you play their games is just really cool. And then the fact that they recognize it's like, hey, thanks for playing our game, stuff like that. All right. So next we have gaming news. So first, it's only been 2 weeks since the last podcast. They're usually not so close together, so there hasn't been as much. That being said, there was I think was it Tokyo? No, it wasn't the Tokyo Game Show. Was it the Germany one?
Gamescom.
So there has been some stuff for releases. The big ones I have for the last 2 weeks, 12 Minutes I believe came out, as well as Psychonauts 2.
Yep.
I never played Psychonauts 1, but I've heard 2 is pretty great. I've also heard amazing things about 12 Minutes, so I look forward to trying both of those at some point.
Same. Same. 12 Minutes. The loop is pretty fun because I feel like there's a lot of ways that you can screw up,
Right.
In every single situation. Oh, you beat the first loop, you get to the second loop, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be brand new ways to screw up and die. So, which is it's a very fun concept for me.
Yeah, I'm interested in how the loop works. Is like, okay, so it's a loop, but you learn new things on each loop. So I wonder how that works out.
Yeah, I want to pick it up too. It's gonna have to go to the backlog, which is the sad thing. Unless a game comes out, that I'm like, screw everything else.
I'm playing
this, which is gonna be Eastward when it releases. It has to go back on the backlog. So I agree with that. What was the second game?
Psychonauts 2.
I bought Psychonauts. I believe I still own it somewhere. Never played it. It's a cult classic for a reason, I'm sure. I do plan to stream that one before I pick up Psychonauts 2 and stream that one because I want to stream them together.
Gotcha. I'll definitely want to try to catch that if I don't play it by then because, again, like you said, I've heard Psychonauts 1 being a cult classic. Just you hear people talk about it, but I have no idea what it's about, how it plays, anything. So, very interested.
Might as well have been an indie game.
It's true.
No?
All right, for news, we got a few things. Horizon Zero Dawn related. So we got a release date for number 2, or at least tentative release date, February 18th, 2022. It will not have a PS4 to PS5 upgrade, free or paid, which is interesting. A lot of people aren't happy about that. And then
when are people happy?
I mean, never really. And then Horizon 1 on the same day the release date for 2 came out. Horizon 1 got a 4K and 50 FPS update on the PS5.
Oh, nice.
This upcoming, I think it's Wednesday, is a PlayStation Summer Showcase where they've got 40 minutes of PS5 games they're going to be showing off. So I'm excited to see what we've got coming up finally. There was the people who make XCOM announced Marvel's Midnight Suns, which had been semi-leaked around E3. I'm tentatively excited about this, like just because I like the gameplay. I like the I don't call it strategy RPG as much a tactical RPG where you just you move to spaces, you do your attacks. So it's still turn based enough for me to enjoy it. Final Fantasy Tactics is one of my like all time favorite games. So having a Marvel one like that seems interesting, but the limited gameplay I saw might switch it up too much for me, so I'm gonna have to just keep my eye on it.
Now that you said tactical, I think Overland is tactical because you do only have certain amounts of steps that you can take per turn and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, Overland. I think when you mentioned it, I was like, that's definitely one I have to poke my head into. Switch got a Pokemon video app, which nobody really saw coming. It's literally you download the app and you can watch old episodes of Pokemon. I looked at it briefly. You got
that's cool.
First 2 seasons, then you have jumps up to like season 7 through 9 and stuff like that. So it's fairly random as far as what's on there. But they have movies on there too. So if anybody just wants a bunch of nostalgia for Pokemon, it's a free app on Switch. Although people are just like, how do you not have Netflix but you have this Pokemon video app?
Who's your favorite Pokemon, Tidus? I think I know what it is, but
I don't think you do because I don't really know.
Okay, then never mind then. I thought it would be Snorlax, but if you don't know, then I guess I'm wrong.
Snorlax is up there for me. I don't know if I've ever considered him my favorite, but he's just who I was drawn to in Unite. One weird thing I keep coming back to, actually, and I don't know why, is Krabby. And I couldn't tell you why. It's just like, I like myself, I like Krabby, and I don't know why.
That is interesting. I could jump into your psyche for that one.
Let's not. Let's see. And then some Xbox stuff. Halo Infinite got a release date for December 8th. And then they announced that Xbox Cloud Gaming is coming this holiday to both the new consoles and the previous gen consoles. So you would actually be able to play, for example, Xbox Series X games on an Xbox One X because it's streaming and it's not loading it through the processing on the system. So if that all works out pretty good, I'm excited for the Xbox people. I'm not one of them, but
same. That's actually pretty consumer friendly, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree.
I'm not an Xbox person myself, but yeah, I'm very happy for them if it turns out that it works and it works well.
Yeah, the only other thing I'm jealous of for Xbox is their quick resume. Being able to hotspot between 4 games at once, like not having to load and you're going back to the exact same point. PlayStation has what they call like a quick resume, but you jump between games, but you have to load back up the game and continue as opposed to being left exactly where you left off. So that's the only thing I'm like jealous about for Xbox that has over PlayStation, honestly.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding. So you could be playing 4 games in rapid order.
Yeah. So you start up Ori, and you're in the middle of a boss fight or something. You can stop, play another game. You right in the middle of the boss fight, and then go to another game, a racing game. You're 1 lap in. You know, I want to go finish that boss fight. You switch back, and it's still loaded in that same spot, the exact same spot you left it at, continuing. So
that's cool. That's cool. It's too much for me though. That's a lot of options. I'm too old, I guess. I've hit that wall because that's too much.
To be fair, I don't know how often I would use it, but the idea sounds fun.
I agree. So. It's a great idea. It's a great thing to give to gamers.
Is there any other? Yeah, so like I said, it's only been 2 weeks since the last podcast, so there wasn't a ton of gaming news. Is there anything else you can think of you wanted to talk about as far as that kind of stuff goes?
Not gaming news, but there was one thing that I kind of wanted to discuss with you and get your thoughts on it.
Go for it.
So what was your first gaming system?
The NES.
NES. So this is just something I've been thinking about recently. Remember when games weren't predatory? and they were just fun, and they were addicting because they were fun.
I do, yeah. Now they
It
got microtransactions up the Yahoo, and uh, yeah,
and I feel there's like a design philosophy with that, you know? Like Nintendo had it right. I don't know if they still do it this way, but it was fun comes first, right? Um, so games can be fun and addicting just because they're fun. Level design, how you tackle the visuals, right? Music, co-op. There's things like that that I think like kind of like Mario Kart, right? I
hmm
don't know how if they have gambling or anything in it now, but just even Mario Kart on the SNES was just a fun game, and I remember it was huge because it was fun.
yeah. Mario Kart now does not have like any kind of pay to do anything. They had the Wii U version had one DLC on it that added, or is it two? They had one or two DLCs that added more cups and more racers and stuff like that. And then the Switch version put that all together, so there wasn't any additional content. It was just all thrown into one.
Hmm.
But no, there's no like loot box, pay and get a random cart piece or anything like that.
Right.
I think for the most part, I'd agree with you. Nintendo tries to keep it that way. Not all. I think Nintendo published games for the most part try to stick to that, but not all games that are published for Nintendo
Right.
obviously do the same.
So I was thinking that, and I was weighing certain things and putting things into categories. So I was thinking like, yeah, there's ways that you can tackle games to make them fun in a player-friendly, non-predatory way. And then I started thinking of, well, there's certain games just by the fact that they're that kind of game, racing games, sports games, fighting games, that are going to have addictive um, things in them just because they are a fighting game and you're fighting with other people. Because being able to beat another human being in something kind of speaks to the human condition.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of it. I can't play fighting games anymore because I turn into a giant jerk, and I know this about myself, so I actively avoid fighting games because I don't want to be that person. But there's things that depending on the game you just really can't avoid, right? But I feel like they're neutral, right? Again,
Right.
racing games, fighting games, just for the nature of that kind of game, you can't really avoid it. And then there are things that do not either exploit or do not benefit the player or benefit the company in hurting the player or at the detriment of the player. Obviously, loot boxes is one of them, but there's other little psychological tricks that game developers use, such as the fear of missing out.
Mm.
Obviously, Fortnite with their season passes, right? You don't want to miss out, but you're not enjoying the game, and I
Hold on.
see a lot of that
Can you hear me?
added to, let's say, like Dead by Daylight.
Hello.
Oh, are you still there?
Yeah. For a good like solid 10 seconds, it started going like, and I couldn't hear a
Hello?
thing. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello.
Testing?
Hello. Can you hear me? Uh,
Hello,
hello.
hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, there was a good like 10, 15 seconds where just it was a buzzing sound, and
Oh.
then it stopped, and you had kept going. I was like, oh, something happened. You couldn't hear me. I couldn't, and I don't know what it was, but we seem to be okay now.
I think it was on my end. I think my internet just did something. But like I was saying, the fear of missing out,
Yeah.
you see that a lot, obviously, like in things like Fortnite, but also like in games like Dead by Daylight as well, where it's like people just do not want to play the game, but they have to farm their points. They have to do these things, and it's something that I always wanted to avoid as a streamer.
Yeah,
Now,
DBD has the tomes.
yeah. But there's other things too that I just thought of that Nintendo did. I don't know if they're still doing this with the Pokemon games, so you only get one save file per cartridge. Are they still doing that?
They are. Well, that's I'd have to double check because I think they might do it one per profile. Because you can have
Okay.
multiple profiles on a Switch, and I think you can have various age. I'm not 100% sure on that, but at the very least, up until recently, that was the case. Like you said, one save file, so you had to buy multiple copies. Your family couldn't buy one copy and be good. You'd have to. Oh, you have two kids. Well, sorry, you got to buy two copies.
Right. And I think that's at the detriment to the player. And I think obviously, I mean, it may not be obvious, but it's obvious to me. What brought this up was like, I played Borderlands 3 for 2 years. Why do I hate this game so much? Right?
Right.
The number one is the writing. I feel like the writing is, and this is universally accepted. The writing is crap, and I'm a story plot writing person first before mechanics. Um, and so I started looking at it. I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of these little things where there's fear of missing out. There's time gating. There's things that Gearbox was making you do, which again, it could be standard now. It is standard now, but it's at the detriment of the player and the player experience. Younger people who started games in that environment may not know of a better time,
Right.
but for us,
Us, you mean
if
the
we
older
pick up on it,
people.
yeah, it's like, no, this is exploitative. Like, I don't want to play this game, but you're manipulating my psychology to you can't make me keep playing, but to influence me as much as you can to keep me playing in a unhealthy way.
Yeah, that would have been a good topic for you to choose.
Oh, well, we talked about it anyway,
We did,
right? Okay.
but yeah, that's definitely something. I'd honestly just like to continue like on one of our streams one time. It's just kind of get my thoughts together on that because it's not something you think about a lot, but it's true and it's a problem. Maybe not industry wide yet, but it's gone more in that direction lately than it has at any other point in time.
Yeah, and just like that, like you're seeing a lot of you're seeing this in the indie community a lot too, where um, a developer will be like, "Hey, we are releasing on Steam and Epic," and then Epic swoops in, gives them money for an exclusive deal. And like, well, we said we were going to be on Steam, but now we're on Epic.
Right, the almighty dollar.
Exactly, and really, I don't blame. Oh, I kind of do blame developers because once you say something, you should stick with it. But an exclusivity deal where like you're guaranteed to make money is hard to pass up. So I'm not angry at them.
Right, but they shouldn't
And
have made the promise to begin with.
exactly, and I can't even be mad at Epic either because they're trying to compete with Steam. They're trying to get those exclusives,
Right.
right? But again, those decisions are affecting players. And in the United States, it's like big deal. IndieTaco, just load another downloader, like whatever. It's not a big deal. But in other countries, it can be a big deal, especially if games are not. The only way you can get those games is through PC, or now only through the Epic Game Store. And there's a number of other things that could be happening too.
Sorry, I accidentally unplugged my headphones.
Oh,
But yeah,
Yep.
that's it's again interesting that you brought that up. Something that I know people around are talking about, but it'd probably be nice to get that conversation more to the forefront. Otherwise, it's just it's going to keep happening and keep getting worse, honestly. But we've hit the wrap up portion of the podcast. Thank you so much, Indy, for joining me today. We had some good discussions, a lot of stuff I didn't know about you that I learned, which is why I love doing this. So thank you for very much for joining me, and anybody who joined us live here on Twitch, thank you for watching. If you're here on YouTube, look at the description below, and we'll get you the links to Indy's Twitter, Twitch, and whatever else he might want you to look at. Definitely check him out. I recommend watching his indie games that he plays to on his stream. You still there?
Oh, yep. I didn't know if you wanted me to say something.
No, I was just thank you for joining me today, and I don't have actually I do have a guest lined up for next month. His name is Catchemall22, and it's actually going to be my first YouTube content creator on
nice.
the podcast. So look for that sometime in October. And thank you again, Indy.
You're welcome. And whoever wins the raffle, I just put up my Halloween emotes, so you will be sporting very limited time Halloween emotes. Fear of missing out and all.
Well, like I said, we're going to do the end screen, then we're going to come back, do the raffle, and everything. So thank you again, Indy. Thank you for everybody here on Twitch, and we'll see you next month. Bye,
Have a
everyone.
good one. Bye.